Now that is how you elevate an American classic. And then we see this thing behind me, and I feel like Rotterdam keeps getting points. Of course, I dusted it with cinnamon. We're not monsters here. Hey, travel lovers, and welcome to A Wanderlust for Life. I'm Jessica, and in this video, we are bringing you to Rotterdam. So you need to let me know right now down in the comments if you're Team Amsterdam or Team Rotterdam. 010, 020, Mokum, Rafa. Let me know, because it is a kind of a big rivalry down here. So we're gonna spend 48 hours in this city just to explore a little bit, but we are traveling how we travel. So it's gonna have to do with experiences and food and probably some cocktails. So let's get into it. We're starting our day off with some brunch because I don't know that it's known for brunch in Rotterdam, but I feel like there are so many good spots for it. So we came to Lilith, and a couple of things I really like is that there's a large inside and a large terrace outside. So like a lot of places that are near here are just so tiny, so there's not a lot of space for people, and you'll get there and then you can't eat, or you have to wait a long time. So this place has such good reviews, and I really love that you can kind of basically make your own kind of avocado toast, or what? That is the old tram, yeah. So there's an old tram that you can take, like a tourist tram, a tour that you can take around, but it's a lot louder than the newer trams. But I was trying to say, you can kind of basically make your own Eggs Benedict version. Obviously there's different names for different ones. So I got the brioche, poached eggs, and avocado, super millennial, I know. And Sean actually got the sourdough with scrambled eggs and kimchi, and then you get spinach or salad on the side. And of course, they have some good coffee and things like that. So we are gonna dig in and fuel up before we start exploring for the next 2 days. A top tip for Rotterdam is to head to the tourism office and get your Rotterdam welcome card for discounts around the city. One of the things that the Rotterdam welcome card gets you is discounts into places like museums. So we are headed to the Maritime Museum, and we get 25% off with this. Or if you actually live in the Netherlands and you have a museum card like this one, you can get in for free. So regardless, it's always a good idea to visit some of the local museums to really understand the history and the culture of the city or area that you're visiting. Maritime Museum is full of so much information, but also so many like interactive activities. It's great for adults and kids, but there are a lot of children there, so just kind of be aware of your surroundings when you go. And we thought that we would take the water taxi to our next destination. We don't really know how it works. I know that you can reserve it ahead of time to go from one spot to another, which is actually really cool. So you can do that, but here at the Centrum, there are specific spots that you can take it to, and it runs on a regular schedule. So we are gonna try to get to Hotel New York and head over across the water, and that will take us through the big Maas Bridge. So it should be gorgeous, and we are so lucky with the weather today. It has been cold and rainy, and it is beautiful and warm despite me wearing a jacket. From the center right here to the Hotel New York building, which is this old Holland America headquarters. So that was built in 1917, and this was kind of the center of migration actually after World War II, because about 3.5% of the Dutch population actually moved abroad and became Dutch expats. This building is so stunning, and one of the reasons I love it so much is this Nouveau style is just flanked by these super modern buildings, which is so crazy to me, just the visual of it all. And then it overlooks the water, and it's right by the water taxi stand, so it's really easy to get around. But it's just a part of the history of the city, and you may or may not know, Rotterdam is a huge port city. It used to be the biggest in the entire world, and now I think it's still biggest in Europe. So it is part of its history and its future and all of that. But we are hungry, so we are headed to a food hall just down the road. So let's get some goodies. places in Amsterdam is the food hall, and because there are just so many different kinds of food that you can go get, and that is the same here in Rotterdam. They have a food hall, and we have tacos from Taqueria Lima, but they also have everything from Spanish food to burgers to pizzas to I don't even know what else. Just so many different kinds of food, and we were just so excited because we love Mexican food, and they had proper churros. So we are going to dig into this. This place is awesome. We've been here before. We actually used to stay across the street the last time we were here, and this is what we had for dinner. We got like 5 different things. So this is definitely a place so that you can get something for everybody, and there's like a couple different cool things to do sprinkled around. So the surprise that I really wanted to share with you is this terrace area. So we are at the Inhoud Hotel, and surprisingly it's not on a lot of lists that you find, which I think is bonkers. So I kind of want to keep it to myself if I'm honest. But it's the 7th floor. These buildings are typically massive because Rotterdam was bombed so much in World War II. So they go up like tons and tons of stories, but this bar is on the 7th floor, and you get the perfect view of the famous Rotterdam Bridge. But we just really like it. We come here whenever we're in Rotterdam because it's so calming and beautiful, and I just think that you guys will absolutely love it too. And they make great cocktails, so it's a win-win. Of course they have snacks and other food as well, but we come for the drinks, so cheers to that. We just had an amazing drink at Speakeasy. Bartender's amazing, cocktails amazing, but Sean keeps saying things and he's like, oh, but Amsterdam doesn't really have this, like a whole street full of restaurants and bars, like with terraces and everything. And then like there was another Picasso here. There's a Picasso in Vondelpark in Amsterdam if you didn't know that, but there's one just on the street corner here. And then we see this thing behind me, and I feel like Rotterdam keeps getting points. And as an Amsterdammer, I feel like that's not okay. I can't like Rotterdam as much as I do and be an Amsterdammer. So you have to decide. You have to visit Amsterdam and Rotterdam and see which one you like better. And I'm sure the comments are gonna blow up after this, but I am starting to like Rotterdam more than I thought. But now we have a cool dinner to go to, so let's go eat. So, you know that building that I was like, that's really cool, and that's like a point to Rotterdam? Yeah, well, that's where our dinner reservation was. So we are on the top of that building right now, and we are having a 5-course menu. And it's actually, we realized it's our 19th dating anniversary, like our 19th anniversary for dating. And so this is where we get to spend it. We have this great view up here. We have, they do a wine pairing. They also do some non-alcoholic options as well. So we're kind of mixing and matching, but it looks amazing. So we're starting off with some tuna, and everything's been so great so far. The space is super cool. So we are at the top of what is essentially an art museum, and you can visit it during the day. You can pay to come up here and get the view, but it's seriously stunning up here, and I really think it probably rivals like the Euromass. So if you're here and you want to try something a little bit off the beaten path, you'll want to come here. Good morning. We are starting our morning off right with breakfast. So we have come to Bij Jarmusch, I think is how you say it. So they are a diner style, like an American diner style, like with a Rotterdam flair is what I was told. But they actually were voted best pancakes in the Netherlands recently, and I think they mean best American pancakes. So I'm really excited. The vibe here is super cool. There's a big inside space, and there are 2, I think. So we are in the east one, and then there's this massive massive outside space in the back, and there's this whole like vibe going on back here. I love it. And you do get that diner vibe. So I got the American Classic, which is a 3-stack, a short stack I think is what we call it. And it has bacon on top and blueberries and of course syrup. And luckily we are in the Netherlands, so we have fresh squeezed orange juice, which is what you have to have here. So, ready to dig in? Let's do it. Oh, whoa. Oh, it's orange butter. They have really leveled this up with like the orange butter, and the bacon's a little extra special too. This is just like delicious. Normally the camera eats first, so we're gonna go ahead and have our breakfast now. So the bacon, I looked it up, is whiskey glazed bacon. The maple syrup is lavender infused, and the butter is salty orange vanilla brown butter. Now that is how you elevate an American Classic. When you think of Rotterdam, a lot of people think of these cubed houses. It's really just synonymous with the city, as evidenced by how many people are here right now. Now, it is so popular, they've actually opened up a museum. Unfortunately, the line is so long, we're probably not gonna be visiting today, but you can go in and see what it's really like to live in these buildings and learn a little bit more about the architects. Now, basically, there were 55 of these that were supposed to be built in the original plans in 1977. And the idea was to connect the original Rotterdam Harbor, which is the birthplace of the entire city, with the inner city with a viaduct. So each of these is supposed to represent a tree, and the whole thing a forest, so it was really a village within its own community. They have multiple floors, which I don't think a lot of people realize. So the ground floor is the entrance. The first floor, which for Americans is the second floor, has a living room and open kitchen, with the next floor up, 2 bedrooms and a bathroom, and the top floor is sometimes used as a garden. So the furniture is custom built for these places. It's really, really interesting, and I think if you have the chance and you have the time, you should go visit the museum. It's only a couple of euros, so it's not gonna set you back too much, and we're right by the Markt Hall, so you can pop in here, get your photos, and then head and get some lunch, which is what we are about to do. We are at the famous Markt Hall here in Rotterdam, and this is an architectural gem. You have the whole front and back completely made of glass. It's just so much light coming in here. It's also actually really cool when it rains too, because then you just get like the vibe and the look of the outside, but you're inside safe and warm and dry. So there's so many different places to eat here. You have everything from fish to stroopwafels to like market things where you can like get fresh olives and veggies and things like that, ice cream. I mean, what else is there? I mean, there's just so many different kinds of food in here that really take your pick. I will tell you that especially on the weekends it does get very, very busy, but a little bit of a secret, some of these restaurants and even the coffee house behind me have rooftop terraces, so it's on top of the actual stall. You can sit and kind of view everything from above, which is really nice if it's just getting a little too intimidating down there. But lots to choose from, and there's even on the edges different restaurants that like are dine-in restaurants too. And if you need the toilets, they are downstairs on level -1. It is €1. You can either use a coin or a card. But what we are having today, because we're just kind of having little bits all day, we are doing herring, and that's mostly because I've actually been craving herring, oddly enough. So this is more the Rotterdam style, so you have the whole fish with the onions and the pickles, and you hold it above and you kind of eat it like that. And in Amsterdam, typically they cut it up. And then Sean got, and I'm gonna try it because I haven't ever done that before, is the herring broodje. So broodje is just sandwich, so we have herring in bread with the same toppings. So all right, let's do this. It's gonna be messy. I've never done it like this.
All this stuff's gonna fall off.
Yeah, I don't know, like, I don't understand. All right.
Maybe all the stuff won't fall off.
Well, I think the stuff is usually on the inside, so it kind of, there's friction inside. All right, anyway. There goes nothing.
Bottoms up.
Bottoms up, heads first. That wasn't too bad. But yeah, I didn't get all the bits. I really like the onion and the pickles in each bite, so I didn't get that, but very good fish. Okay, I'm gonna try Sean's herring broja.
A big bit of tiddling behind it. That's great.
Sean's over here eyeing other people's food. They also sell kibbeling and lots of other Dutch dishes here. If you want to try those, kibbeling is just like fried fish, more like a cod usually, right? All right, well, let's see how this is with some bread. I really like that, but I like that the bread kind of gives a little bit extra, like a different texture. And you get everything in one bite and it's not falling off. The Amsterdam style of chopping it up and having a little bit like with a toothpick or something, it's way more my style. Or my new favorite is a broja. Walking along and we found pastistinata, so I got one of these little babies and it's being freshly baked right behind us. And of course I dusted it with cinnamon. We're not monsters here. Delicious. So many different kinds of food here. You can't go wrong. From Dutch to Portugal to Japan, we are at the Japanese curry house and we got some mochi, so they have like the whole selection behind me. And I thought it was actually mochi ice cream, but it's not. It's just regular mochi. I'm sorry, but mochi just feels so weird. It just feels so weird. We got the yuzu one. I love like the citrusy kind of flavor. Ooh, that's so light. The citrusy flavor is also really light, so refreshing. I actually really love that they keep it like really, really cool. It's way more of the whipped stuff than I thought. I thought it'd be a lot more of the rice, the other stuff that makes mochi dough. But it's really, really, really good. And it's just such a nice light snack too. I'm really enjoying this like taste around the world. Started Dutch and ending Dutch. We have the stroopwafel from Gouda, and if you don't know all about that, we have a whole video about it where we actually go to like a fabric for it. So you should watch that. I'll leave it in the description and up here. But let's see how this one is. I consider myself a stroopwafel connoisseur, and I really appreciate the vanilla notes and the I'm thinking in Dutch now, the crowd, the spices. But the stroop, the syrup part, is a little too crystallized, a little too sugary for me. Tastes very good though. The taste is definitely there. This is such a treat. So we're gonna keep exploring. I don't actually know what we're doing next, so you'll have to follow us and see what we get into. And now we are at the SS Rotterdam. I'm so excited to bring you with us on this little culinary adventure because this ship was the flagship for Holland America Line in 1959. Yes, and it still looks like this. How crazy is that? It was the largest passenger cruise ship ever built in the Netherlands. And now it has a whole host of duties, including being a hotel, multiple restaurants, multiple bars, even an escape room. So there's tons to do on here. So are you curious what we're gonna do? Well, come on, find out. So we've come to the Ocean Bar here on the SS Rotterdam for a small wine tasting, but you can have a high wine, you can have an afternoon tea, there's other bars, there's restaurants, like you can just come up and enjoy yourself in whatever fashion you want to. Just make a reservation ahead of time because it does book up. But even if you just come for a little tasting, it's all good because you can even get like some boral and stuff like that, which is what we've been munching on. But you get great views and the service is excellent. The wine tasting was actually quite amazing. Now we didn't get to see a lot of the ship as we would have liked to, so I think next time we will do like a full tour. So definitely like plan that into your day if you want to do that. But like the wines were fantastic, seriously. So now we are at our final stop of our trip, which is at Jesus Malverde, and it's at Central Station, or it's near Central Station. It's about a 5-minute walk away, and this was actually recommended to us like 6 months ago for when we came back, and it's also on the Rotterdam welcome card, so we get 20% off of food, so that's really exciting. So we got the top 4 things on the menu. We got the carnitas, the barbacoa, we got the chicken, and the shrimp. So it's gonna be like a yummy goodbye for us before we head back to Amsterdam. So if you're interested in the welcome card or in Rotterdam in general, check down below because I'm gonna leave some information there for you. But yeah, just if you come, take the time to savor it in, travel the way you want to travel, not the way anybody else tells you to, and I think you'll have an amazing time. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to join our Patreon and get a little bit of extra, I'll leave the link right next to my head somewhere, and subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.